What up? T-Bob here.
And Jake as well.
And look at you. You done stumbled upon little OTB Saints, where we bring you all the latest black and gold coverage.
Who are the Saints going to draft? Who's going to be their quarterback? What does the salary cap look like? All that information and more.
Hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe. The New Orleans Saints got to work on Saturday night against the Arizona Cardinals, and there were a lot of eyes on this first-team offense. How would they do? Unfortunately, there's really no way to spin it except for that it was, I would say, a confirmation of a lot of Saints fans' greatest fears. 9 snaps, 18 yards, 2 punts. The offensive line did not do well. Trevor Penning and Lucas Patrick, the 2 positions on that line you're concerned with the most, looked like weaknesses. And, you know, there was really nothing to write home about from the first team offense. Now, you know, I do think, for what it's worth, Clinton Kubiak, you know, you're not doing your full offense according to all of these Saints beat writers. It's definitely a bit different than what you've seen in practice. But when you're doing simple things like that, you would definitely hope that the execution would have been at a higher level because the defense is also doing simple things. And so then it's about like, okay, how good are you? And this maybe shows that these Saints' weaknesses are about as weak as we originally thought here.
Yeah, so if you're doing the basic stuff, you should not go, okay, so basic means, okay, we're 6 yards, 8 yards, whatever it might be. We're not going to push the ball down the field, but we're going to be efficient. Basic isn't incomplete, 10 yards, incomplete, 2 yards. That's not basic. It's basically terrible is what it is. Like, if you're going to do like a preseason script, hey, here's going to be our first 10 or whatever, like there should be easy completions in there. I didn't see that. You had 1 first down with the first unit, right? You couldn't connect with your receivers. I mean, you were 2 of 6 if you're Derek Carr. 2 of 6.
I love it. Workman-like day. Bring your lunch pail to work, guys.
Yeah,
it's a hard hat day from Carr.
Yeah, 2 of 6, 12 yards, averaged 2 yards per attempt, quarterback rating of 42.4.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now the other quarterbacks, which we'll get to, it was better. Certainly Jake Haener had a better day than Derek Carr. Like, again, like don't just tell me that they didn't have their full playbook. Okay, well, I'm not expecting them to go 25 of 30 for 350 and 3 tuds, but you would expect them to go, 5 of 6 for 43 yards and a couple of first downs.
There was, Olave had his guy burned on the deep ball. Pressure, imagine this. Pressure getting Carr's throw off schedule. You end up missing that. If you hit that, everything's different, but you didn't. And that's been the problem with Carr in the offense last year was an inability to handle pressure, and with a bad offensive line, well, you're obviously going to have to. So, look, there's nothing to be excited about with what you saw out of the first team offense. But that's not to say there's nothing to be excited about. Because I thought the defense looked absolutely fantastic. And I understand why we talk about the offense so much, because it's your greatest insecurity. And a lot of times, especially in like sports talk, you don't spend time celebrating the things you know you're good at. You more spend times worrying about the things that you know that you're bad at. And I get why, right? Because that's generally what determines your results more. It's a weak link type of sport. But I do want to spend a minute or two here really focusing in on a defense that was 9th in the league in scoring 2 years ago. And they thought they were played way below their potential. They changed the entire coach staff. They go to 6th in scoring defense last year. They add Chase Young over the weekend, draft Kool-Aid McKinstry. Kool-Aid didn't have the greatest day, but still, this Saints defense, fantastic. 4 sacks, 15 pressures. Nathan Shepard and Carl Granders are the great sack out the gate. Chase Young and Brian Brzee get involved. Chase Young looks as good as advertised during camp. This is a Saints defense that could be a top 5 defense in the entire NFL. And if you're going to make the playoffs, that's going to be the reason why, right? The offense is going to have to do enough, but you are going to be a defensively led team, and they look like they're going to be better than ever with Chase Young in there, with a second-year Brzee, Pete Werner a year older. That was without Marshawn Lattimore on Saturday, but we know the secondary's fine. Imagine if you end up adding a Simmons. I don't know. We'll see. But yes, I thought the defense there was like as disappointed as you were in the offense. You should probably be as excited about the defense.
Yeah, I'm not worried about the defense. The defense is something that, like you said, it's been really good, and they've added some really good players. When you add a Chase Young, when you add a Kool-Aid McKinstry, Brian Brzee, I thought having the sack and showing flashes like he did, that could be as important as anything that you have on the defensive side of the football to get a defensive tackle that can rush the quarterback like that. Because I like Nathan Shepard and I like where they're at in the interior in the run game.
Shepard's really
but
good. Yeah.
I mean, I thought he had another good day. But if Brzee can give you if you've got Granderson and Young on the edges, and you've got Cam Jordan and Brian Brzee in the inside on third downs, good luck. Like, that can be one of the best, peso, whatever you want to call it, units in the NFL. And so, seeing that is really good. You know what the defensive backfield is. You know the coverage guys you have at linebacker. Yeah, the defense is something that is a strength. It's something that we feel really good about, and I think it only can get better.
Yeah.
As Chase Young gets back into game shape, as Brian Brzee goes from year one to year two. You've got
Granderson now empowered, coming up a great year. Like he just
and he kind of knows
he's the guy now.
Yeah, they didn't go draft like a first round edge guy. Like they know he's got a role on this team. You look at the defensive backfield; those young players, Alontae Taylor, Paulson Adebo, they're only going to continue.
Yeah,
I thought Jordan Howden had a couple of nice moments. He played. Gosh, he must have played 25 to 30 snaps.
I had here. I can get a snap count brought up real quick, but continue.
28.
Okay, there you go.
28. He had 28 snaps, and I thought he had some nice moments. It was good to see him out there, and you can tell that they're okay. You bring in Simmons, you kind of start talking about that position. We know it's not for Tyrann Mathieu, okay. And when Jordan Howden plays 28 plays in the first preseason game, when some of the other starters played 10, okay, it's him. That's who you want to see a little bit more from. That's what that indicates to me. Just being in that situation before, they play him 28 plays when, you look across, Cam Jordan plays 7, Alontae Taylor plays 10, Nathan Shepard plays 10 plays, right? Some of your starters, Brian Brzee played 23. So him playing that many plays tells me that they want to see a little bit more from him, and I actually thought he had a pretty nice preseason game 1.
So other nice nights. A.T. Perry, who needed a big game.
Big.
Yeah, 4 targets, 4 catches, 85 yards. Maybe the dude's just a gamer, because one of the storylines throughout camp has been that A.T. Perry's just been kind of a non-factor, and Dennis Allen being very upfront about how we need to see more out of him. Well, ultimately, what decides your preseason fate is honestly what you do in these games, and so A.T. Perry's certainly helping himself out. And then how could you not be excited about how the backup quarterbacks played? Now, Jake Haener gets lost in the mix here, but 9 of 13 for 107. Really solid stuff from Haener. Continuing has been a sharp camp from him overall. But the reason why he gets lost in the sauce is because Spencer Rattler is tantalizing.
Yeah.
9 of 17 for 70 yards, which maybe doesn't sound as good as it kind of felt watching it. The ball really does jump out of his hand. Like when you hear about the arm talent from Rattler, it is something that you can see immediately. You saw him lower the truck stick, find a way to get into the end zone. Playing hard, you love seeing that. He had the big time back shoulder throw perfectly put in there for the game-winning field goal to Nacua.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, look, I think people are maybe trying to speed up Spencer Rattler's timeline a little too much,
right?
In terms of make him the starter now.
I agree,
but but it is tantalizing.
Yeah.
It is exciting, and I feel for Haener because I don't know exactly what you do here, because Haener's also playing really, really well, but he doesn't have the raw physical skill set of a
Spencer Rattler a couple of years ago was talked about as a top 5 pick in the NFL draft.
Yeah.
And looking at his size, and we've met him, he's not your typical QB1 first round pick size guy. I mean, he's just not. He's maybe 6 foot, maybe.
Yeah, he's not. He's not very big.
So
Neither
he
is Haener.
he doesn't have the measurables. That's what I'm saying though. But he doesn't have the measurables. But his arm talent was so much so that he was going to be, if he continued playing like he was, a first-round pick. And then he goes through some trials and tribulations, and here comes Caleb Williams, this generational talent, takes his job. He goes to South Carolina where he's behind the bomb squad, and he makes the most of it, never complains, goes out there, does his work. So, yeah, there's a lot to like about him. I mean, his game, he's got some of his skills are first-round skill sets.
Yeah.
Now, there's some things that he still needs to work on, and I think being behind that bomb squad for 2 years in South Carolina probably takes you a step back in some of those growth areas that you would like to have because as soon as you get the ball, you're running for your life. But, yeah.
Wait, you think it helps him or hurts him having to go behind
Well,
that?
kind of both.
Yeah.
I think both. Like, he had to, on the run, figure it out, but also, like, there's probably some, like, mechanical things
That's true.
You get away from because you don't have the ability to do so, right? It's like, hey, once you hit this back foot, your eyes are here. And it's like, I can't hit my back foot. I'm backpedaling back here. I can't do that. But, yes, I agree with everything. And I thought he looked really good. And that's a Kalen DeBoer quarterback.
Yeah.
And that's somebody that when he was in college, we'd start talking about a group of 5 quarterbacks. Like, he was one of the first guys that we would mention and who he was. Remember, he was going to go to Washington with Kalen DeBoer. And then for whatever reason that fell through, Penix ends up in Washington. So who knows if Jake Haener would have been in Washington. He was in the portal going to Washington and then went back to Fresno State.
The thing is the Rattler can't hit waivers at this point.
No,
right?
No.
Like it is very clear.
I guarantee you if he hits waivers after watching the Los Angeles Chargers play this weekend, they will select Spencer Rattler over Easton Stick.
So he's guaranteed on the roster.
I think all 3 of them are guaranteed.
And then but are you really going to trust him as the main backup? So yeah, but all of them doing exactly what they need, and Haener's doing well enough. Remember, this is what your coaches always tell you: these preseason games are a tryout for all 32 teams, not just the team you're on. Put good film out there, and if you do end up getting cut, you'll have a very good chance of getting picked
for young players. Yeah,
for young players.
Yeah, for young players.
Charlie Smith, love seeing him. He's in the kicking battle with Blake Gruby, but I just like seeing him how pumped he was after the game-winning field goal. I mean that matters when to that locker room. It's fun to win. Executing and kicking a game-winning field goal as you're trying. Where's he from? Ireland, right?
Yep.
So here you are, first NFL game. Who cares if it's a preseason? I loved watching them celebrate. That was just a very, very good moment.
In that moment, you don't. I mean, it's a preseason, but you don't. I mean,
no, hell no, bro. I remember back in the day. We had an old O-line coach that had been in the NFL for probably 2 decades at that point, Coach Boudreaux, not from Louisiana. And
you had an O-line coach named Coach Boudreaux.
Yeah, and no Louisiana ties whatsoever.
It's like Thibodeau from Oregon.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I remember, I'll never forget this. But it was like after we had a nice drive, we scored. I think it was the first touchdown that I was in on, and I was celebrating my ass off.
Yeah.
And I remember highlighting it and being like, see that's the passion that we want to see here. So I felt like I was brought back when I saw Charlie Smith kick that that game-winning field goal.
My first preseason game I scored against Dallas, I spiked that thing so hard.
Hell yeah, dude. A lot of work. A lot of work goes to get to that moment, man. So overall, I would say I feel worse about the offense.
Yeah.
Really excited about the defense. So kind of a wash. Wow, just amazing black and gold takes right there, Jake.
I don't think I've ever heard any takes that are better than the 2 guys that just gave you that take.
And you can keep getting them by going ahead and liking, subscribing, ringing the bell to get notifications when we post. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next OTB Saints.